Welcome. So, today we're diving into a really big deal in the world of project management. I'm talking about the seventh edition of the PMBOK guide. Now, if you think you know what PMBOK is all about, you might want to stick around because this thing was a complete rewrite from the ground up. It's all about stopping us from just, going through the motions. So, let's figure out how this new edition is designed to help us build real airports, not just wooden ones. But hey, let me ask you something first. Have you ever been on a project where it just felt like theater? I mean, you do the daily stand-ups, you fill out all the documents, you update the charts, you're checking all the boxes, but deep down you know nothing of real value is actually getting done. Well, that feeling, it actually has a name. It's called the cargo cult problem. And honestly, to really get why PMBOK 7 is such a massive change, you first have to understand this pretty wild story. So this term was made famous by the physicist Richard Feynman. Picture this. During World War II, islanders in the South Pacific saw something that must have looked like pure magic. These giant metal birds would just descend from the sky and deliver all this incredible stuff, or cargo, to the soldiers there. It was beyond anything they had ever seen. But then the war ended, the soldiers packed up and left, and just like that, the cargo planes vanished. The supply of amazing goods was cut off, and the islanders, well, they were determined to bring that magic back. So what did they do? They did the most logical thing they could think of. They copied exactly what they had seen the soldiers do. They built entire runways out of wood and bamboo. They carved headphones from coconuts, complete with little stick antennas. They even marched in formation and lit signal fires along the runway, perfectly mimicking all the rituals they had witnessed. And, of course, the planes never came back. You see, they had perfectly replicated the form, the ceremony of it all, but they had completely missed the substance, the why behind it. Now, what on earth could this possibly have to do with project management? Well, it turns out this is a brilliant metaphor for a huge problem in our field. So many teams fall into this exact same trap. They religiously follow the project management rituals, the stand-ups, the charters, the Gantt charts, but without a deep understanding of why they're doing them. They're essentially building wooden airports and just hoping for real cargo to land. And this is where the PMBOK guide enters the story. For decades, it's been one of the most important documents in project management. But you could argue that its old format, maybe unintentionally, was actually encouraging this very problem. So this guide's been around since 1996, and a new edition would pop up every 4 or 5 years. Each time it got bigger, added more detail, more refinement, and it kept going like that until 2021. That's when everything changed. You see, for pretty much its entire life, the guide was process-based. It explained project management through a whole series of super detailed processes, each one with its own specific inputs, tools, and outputs. It ballooned from 37 processes all the way up to 49. And a lot of people started treating it like a rigid step-by-step instruction manual, which it was never meant to be. And that was leading to the cargo cult problem. So with the 7th edition, the Project Management Institute decided to do something radical. They shifted the entire philosophy of the guide from process to principle. And just to give you an idea of how big and prescriptive it had gotten, the 6th edition of the PMBOK guide was a whopping 756 pages long. I mean, it was a real doorstop. The 7th edition? Just 274 pages. Now, that's not just a simple edit. That's a complete and total rethinking of what a guide like this should even be. The shift here is huge. We went from a process-based model, which was all about the prescriptive how, to a principle-based one that focuses on the foundational why. So instead of 49 detailed processes telling you what to do, we now have 12 guiding principles that help you think. It's really the difference between following a checklist and using a compass. And these principles, they're the new heart of the PMBOK guide. They are the antidote to building wooden airplanes. So let's take a quick look at what they are. Okay, so here they are. Now, the key thing to get is that this isn't just a random list of nice-to-haves. They're designed to work together as a system. For example, you can't really focus on value if you don't also effectively engage with stakeholders to find out what they actually consider valuable. And neither of those things is going to work unless you create a collaborative team environment where people feel safe enough to actually innovate and deliver that value. It's about building a mindset, not just following a methodology.
Let's make this real. Let's just zoom in on that very first one. Be a diligent, respectful, and caring steward. In the real world, this completely changes the project manager's job. A traditional manager might walk up to a developer and ask, "Is your task done yet?" But a steward? A steward asks, "What do you need to get your task done? Is there anything blocking you that I can help with?" You see the difference? One focuses on compliance, the other focuses on removing obstacles. It's all about creating an environment of trust and support so the experts on your team can do their absolute best work, not just follow a bunch of orders.
And this brings us right back to where we started. By focusing on fundamental principles like stewardship, the new PMBOK guide is trying to pull us beyond those empty, meaningless rituals.
The most important thing to take away from all this is simple. The entire purpose of this radical change was to help project managers and their teams everywhere avoid falling into that cargo cult trap, to stop mindlessly following a process just for the sake of it. It's all about giving you the why so that you and your team can figure out the best how for your unique situation. It gives you a mindset, not just a map. It's the difference between being handed a GPS that only works on one road and actually learning how to read the stars to find your own way. Which leaves us with one final, and I think pretty important question. I want you to take a hard look at your own projects, your team, and the rituals you follow every day. Are you building a real, functional airport that's capable of landing actual planes? Or are you just going through the motions, carving wooden headphones and hoping that one day the cargo will magically appear?